What's up guys, it's Austin with Pickleball Playbook and I have an awesome tutorial for you today, all about 4 specific tactics that you need to use to make sure that you're always in the correct position. The first is the one that I talk about most, but it's definitely the least understood. What that is respecting the X. The X in pickleball means essentially that we're following the ball. Wherever the ball goes is where each player should gravitate towards. So now I'm going to be breaking down a few points from my gameplay so that you guys can better understand the X and ultimately win more points. Throughout this point, pay attention to me and notice how I hover and move to wherever the ball is. So if the ball goes to the right, I move to the right. If the ball goes to the left, I move to the left. And then there's the put away. So I'm simply just putting my paddle where the ball is going to be. And then it usually results in that. So throughout this point, pay attention to the far right side player who's wearing gray. Notice how he covered middle by following the ball. Since the ball is over here, he simply just puts his paddle on the side that the ball is on, which is his backhand side. And just like that, he countered what would have been an easy winner. So now that you're kind of catching on to the strategy, pay attention to everyone and how they follow wherever the ball goes. If the ball goes to the left, everyone hovers to the left. If the ball goes to the right, everyone moves to the right. So for this point, I'm the near left side player and I'm doing something called recovering and hovering. Every time I'm pulled out wide, I'll recover back to the middle and then hover over the kitchen line to apply pressure. So in essence, if the ball is cross court from you, you're in charge of covering the middle gap. And if the ball is out in front of you, you're in charge of covering the line, as you can see here. So the main takeaway with respecting the X is you want to make sure that your paddle face is always facing towards wherever the ball is. So if the ball is towards the right, your paddle face should be open towards the right. If the ball goes towards the left of the court, your paddle face should always be open towards the left. Because the hardest angle for your opponents to hit from that position is going to be taking it to that opposite side of you. And chances are, if they do, they're going to hit that shot wide, or your partner is going to be there in the middle to cover that shot. The next optimal position to talk about is the drop and wait. So for instance, if your partner is the one hitting the third shot drop, it's your job to watch and wait and see where their drop goes before you make a decision. As soon as you see by the trajectory of their ball that they're going to hit a good drop, you're going to move forward. If you can see that it's slightly high, you're going to stay back. Now I'm going to analyze a few points from gameplay so that you guys can better understand this. So during this point, the return comes back to my side of the court. My partner watches me to see where my drop goes, realizes that my drop is pretty decent, so he moves forward. And then I end up speeding up the ball, but my speed up is too high. So then we both in unison move back until we get a drop that's short enough, and then we move forward again, finish off the point. This point is a prime example of just taking a slow transition. They drive the ball, get an easy fifth shot drop, slowly move forward. Now they're up at the kitchen. The game is neutral. And thankfully, I got lucky with a nice ATP. Notice on this point how my partner waits to see where my drop goes before they fully transition to the net. Since he hangs back, it results in a clean winner. So really the whole goal with this is to take our opponent's offense away. As soon as we hit a good enough drop that we feel comfortable moving forward, we should get into the net. The most important thing is that we don't want to rush it and then get a nice overhead to our feet. So in essence, the entire point of the drop and wait is to see if that ball stays low, you're going to move forward. If the ball that you hit pops up high, you and your partner are going to stay back and then react to that ball until you can get that ball low enough to move forward into the court. Because you're always going to have a better chance of winning the point if you're up at the net as compared to back on the baseline. This video is sponsored by Selkirk. The paddle that I use is the Lux Control Air. I also use the Invicta shape. I get a lot of questions on that. The reason that I use this shape is because it has a little bit of a longer handle and also a longer face. I like it a little bit elongated because when I miss hit, I'll miss hit up top. That's the most common place that I miss hit. So figure out where you miss hit and then that should decide what shape you get, as well as if you have a two-hander or a one-hander. Since I have a two-hander, I like this shape because it has a little bit of a longer handle. If you have a one-hander and you're at that beginner level, I would recommend an S2 shape. And if you're more advanced, I'd recommend the Epic shape. It has a longer handle. So if you would like to purchase one of these, use my code ADV-Playbook. It helps to support the channel. Also, you get a free $30 gift card after your purchase. The next to talk about is the poach and switch. A poach is where you run onto your partner's side of the court and you're trying to take a volley out of the air to finish off the point a little bit sooner. This catches your opponents off guard because they typically don't see you coming, so they're trying to keep it deep at your partner. But instead, you come in and hit a volley winner. Now I'm gonna break down a few points so that you guys can see the positioning dynamic, where each player should be standing, and which player should be calling the switch or the stay.
So it's actually the job of the player that's not doing the poach to call switch or stay because they can see the court so much better than the player that's actually poaching. Another great time to poach is when your opponents look down at the ball, and more specifically when they're looking down and away. Whenever you're in trouble, you're going to try to hit the ball back to the player that's further back. So since I know this, I jump over and take that ball out of the air. And I know this might look like a total highlight reel of me just poaching, but honestly nobody else was poaching that day, and of course I was because I knew that I'd be doing this video. Now this is a great example of the hand signal to switch sides. So as soon as I return this ball, I'm going to switch sides with AJ, and now we're going to play out the entire point on the opposite side that we returned on. And the best place to put your drive is low and up the middle if you're ever trying to do a shake and bake like this.
So as you can see, it's the job of the player that's not poaching to call stay or switch. The reason this play can result in so much confusion is because players don't know the difference between stay and switch. Stay simply means that you're going to stay on your original side of your court. Switch means that, hey, I'm switching behind you and I'm going to your side of the court. Whatever you say is what you have to commit to. The reason that it's not up to the player that's actually poaching to say stay or switch is because they're focused on hitting a volley and putting it away. Whereas the other player can analyze what's going on with the point and where the ball went, and then they can decide on if it's a better idea to stay or switch. So now that you understand your roles, it'll be a lot easier to put it into practice. The next position to talk about is the fake. So a fake can either take place during any point where you're going to take a big, huge step with your dominant or non-dominant leg and act like you're going to a certain spot. You're going to poach the ball, but then you end up staying where you're at. And it can also be used when you're returning the ball and your partner reaches behind their back and calls a fake. Fakes typically will look like this with 2 fingers or this chirping motion. So you can pick out of those two which one works best for you. People will have other ones as well. And sometimes this can confuse people where they'll be like, oh, I wasn't sure what you were calling. If you ever don't know what they're calling, chances are it's a fake. So just act like you're going to that side and then end up staying on your own side. If someone does this hand signal, this means poach because it's an open hand. If it's a closed hand, this means stay. So now I'm going to analyze a few points with the fake in it so that you guys can see what it looks like on the return as well as what it looks like during a point.
So typically what a fake will result in is your opponents popping up the ball slightly high to the side where they think no one's at. It also results in your opponents having a longer transition, which is always good news for you because the longer the transition, the bigger chance they have of missing the ball. This point is a prime example of making your opponents feel like you're poaching, which causes them to pop the ball up. Notice how throughout this point, each time the opponents are about to hit a ball, my partner steps his foot to the right as if he is about to poach. This is an optimal move to use whenever you have poached the point before because they'll actually expect you to poach.
So all that being said, I just came out with this video right here. It goes into Colin John's dinking strategy. He is without a doubt the best dinker in all of pickleball. So if you guys want to improve your dink game, you absolutely have to check out this video. I promise that it will. I'll see you on the next one.
If you want to have fun and improve your game at the same time, download the Pickleball Drills app. Regularly uploaded drills to help you feel game-like pressure, all while rapidly improving your consistency. For access, click the top link in the description of this video.